Hi, and welcome to the Sallie Tomato YouTube channel. Here we enjoy bringing you tutorials that both teach and inspire, and today we're going to get a little inspiration from the 1980s featuring our Fields pattern. One of my favorite accessories from the 1980s when I was growing up is a double wrap belt. The Fields bag gives a refined look to the fanny pack, also a popular accessory from the 1980s, incorporating a double wrap belt appearance to the versatility of a crossbody or shoulder bag. The name Fields is inspired by Sally Fields and her role in the movie 80 for Brady. Before we begin the tutorial, be sure to purchase the pattern. You can find the pattern and all the supplies for this project on our website, sallietomato.com, or you can request them at your local quilt shop. Please shop local whenever you can. The supplies you need are listed on the back of the pattern, including a list of helpful notions. All right, gather your supplies, cut out all the pieces that you're going to need, and remember, you can always pause the video as we go along. That way we're sewing at your pace. Are you ready? Let's begin. Be sure to follow your pattern instructions for the suggested seam allowances and stitch lengths. The main fabric I'm using is a woven quilting cotton. You'll see our samples are also featuring the faux leather in the ostrich texture and also our beautiful cork fabric. The cork and the faux leather don't need any fleece interfacing. However, with the quilting cotton that I'm using, I am going to add the optional fleece interfacing. That's just going to give the bag a little more body. And one of our testers had a great idea before she began the next step of shaping the pieces. She fused the fleece to her main quilting cotton fabric first. That way she only needed to trace and cut once on each piece. And then we're going to begin by shaping our pattern pieces. On the wrong side of each piece A, you'll position the dart corner template A aligned to the fabric short edges and the long bottom edges. And then you're going to trace those angles and the corner curves in both bottom corners and then simply cut out following your traced lines. You're going to repeat this same step using the flap curve template B to shape the bottom corners of your flap pieces. Those are the pieces B. I'm going to cheat and mark one corner and then fold my fabric piece in half, meeting the top corners, and then I'll simply cut following my one marked line, but I'll be cutting both layers, creating the curved corners on each bottom edge of the piece. You'll also draw on the flap piece angled lines, follow your pattern for those dimensions, and then you're going to cut on all the marked lines to have your final flap shape. So this is where you could attach your fleece if you were adding fleece, or have your fleece fused onto the main cotton fabric before you do your tracing and shaping of your pieces. And if you're using a sew-in fleece, use sewing clips or pins to hold the layers together and then baste around the outer edge of all the edges of each piece, just like I'm doing here. And you'll attach the main piece B to fleece piece B in the same way. Again, I've already gone ahead and basted those layers in place. So let's move on to creating the flap. Our next step is to install the male half of the magnetic snap centered and up from the bottom edge on the right side of the lining piece B. And this is an extra tip, especially for the cotton fabric. It helps to have just a little reinforcement. The best pattern to use is a large coin. I'm using a quarter. So I'm going to use a scrap of my contrast fabric, which is a faux leather, and I'm going to cut a small circle to create my circle shape, and I'm going to add that to the right side on my lining flap, so it's going to be centered where my snap is centered. I'll top stitch around the edge of that little contrast fabric circle, holding it in place to the lining, and then install the snap. And you can see I have the snap installed right here. Then we'll move on and align all the edges of both pieces B, that's our flap pieces, right sides together. You'll sew the sides and bottom edges, and then be sure to cut tiny notches into the curves of the seam allowance before you turn this flap right side out. Be careful not to cut into your stitching, and just a few little notches clipped out is going to help. This is going to help the flap to stay nice and flat. We'll turn the flap right side out through the open top and then give the seam edges a press. If you're using a faux leather or cork, be sure to use your fingers just to do the pressing, and then top stitch from the seam. And if you like a wider look for your top stitching, by all means, you can certainly stitch a wider seam allowance or stitch a ways away from the seam. You don't have to stitch real close if you prefer that wider look. On the right side of your main piece A, that's going to be your front, you'll install the female half of the snap, again centered and down from the top. Refer to that measurement in your pattern. And I've again added my little reinforcement circle using that contrast fabric. You can top stitch that in place and then install your snap just like I've done here. And be sure to check out our website and YouTube channel for helpful video tutorials to help with installing this hardware. All right, we're ready to attach the D-ring connectors. You'll top stitch along both long edges of each piece D, that's the connector pieces in the contrast fabric. And as I'm top stitching, I'm just going from one connector to the next. And then with wrong sides up, place one piece D, the short end, in from the side edge and then down from each top corner on the right side of your main piece A back. And then you'll top stitch following your pattern. Essentially, you're going to form a stitched box at the inner end of each of your connector pieces. So it should look similar to what I have here. The opposite ends of each of the connectors will extend outside of your piece A. That's your main piece back. All right, now slide one D-ring onto each of those connectors and then fold the piece D or the connector onto itself. So the wrong sides are together and you're encasing that D-ring. And then you'll top stitch a distance away from the D-rings as well as the raw edges, that's the top and bottom edge of the connector, and near the hardware. You're going to be forming a little box. When I'm stitching so close to the hardware, I sometimes find it's easier if I actually reverse stitch away from the hardware. That way my foot, which is usually shorter in the front area, it just cooperates a little bit better in that depth or dimension with that hardware. So it just makes it a slight bit easier. Now the next step is to slide the remaining D-rings onto the pieces D. So one D-ring on each connector, and then fold the connector end under with wrong sides together. And then you're going to place this folded end just a little distance away from the previously stitched box. So you're encasing the D-rings within those connectors. Be sure to keep your horizontal edges aligned. That's the top and bottom edges, so it looks neat. And then you'll top stitch near the D-rings and that last final edge, creating boxes again. Now, if you'd like, you can make and attach the interior slip pocket. When folding the slip pocket piece in half, be sure you're matching the shorter ends. Visit our YouTube channel for a video tutorial on how to make and attach a slip pocket. After your slip pocket is assembled, center the top edge of the pocket just down from the top edge of your lining piece A, just like I've done here, and then top stitch it in place. And we can move on to create the darts. Our next step is creating the darts. So with right sides together, match the adjacent angled straight edges of one dart on your main piece. It can be either the front or back right now. Sew along the angled edge of the dart and then repeat for that opposite dart on the same piece, and repeat these steps to create the darts in all your remaining piece A pieces. That's the remaining main fabric and both lining fabric pieces. And then we'll go on to assemble the bag. With right sides together, center the top straight edge of the flap along the top straight edge of your main piece A back. You'll baste that in place. And then with right sides together, align both main pieces A edges. And you'll sew the sides and the bottom together, folding the dart seam allowances in opposite directions to reduce the bulk. At least I like to do it that way. I'm using sewing clips to hold my layers together. You could certainly have your dart seam allowances pressed open if that's easier for you. Also, I'm pulling the flap out away from this seam right now. I'll tuck the flap back inside after I finished stitching this seam. And then we'll repeat this same step to assemble the lining. Beginning at the top edge, but increasing to a wider seam allowance for the sides and the bottom. That way you're making a lining that's slightly smaller and it's going to fit very neatly inside your bag. Be sure you decrease that seam allowance again as you approach the top opposite edge of your lining piece. One option you might consider, I leave an opening for turning along the top edge of my bag, and that's in the next step. But if you prefer to have a turning opening at the bottom edge of your bag, when you're sewing your lining, leave a bottom section open between the darts for turning. To reduce the bulk, I did trim the seam allowance so it's a little narrower, but try not to trim any extra seam allowance from the opening. It helps when you're sewing that opening shut to have the seam allowance at that wider allowance that you stitched at. So I've only trimmed where I stitched. Okay, so let's turn the lining right side out and then insert the lining into the exterior, aligning the top edges and the side seams, and then keep the flap smooth and inside the bag. So double check that it's not going to get caught in the seam anywhere. And this is where I would have the option of leaving an opening near the top, a section unstitched along the top edge of my bag. For this tutorial, I've left the opening in the lining, but you certainly can leave the opening along the top edge. So after sewing, you can turn the bag right side out through the opening, smoothing the corners and the darts and all the edges. And you can turn or bring the lining to the outside and just sew that opening shut and tuck the lining back inside. And then with your fingers, roll that top seam so it's nice and flat. And then we can top stitch along that top edge. Again, if you prefer a little bit wider look, you can top stitch at 1/4 inch or an 1/8 inch like we've done on our cork and faux leather ostrich sample. Our last step is to make the adjustable strap. Gather your strap pieces and visit our YouTube channel for a video tutorial on how to make an adjustable cork fabric strap. And I'm going to show you a quick tutorial on how to wear the strap as a double wrap belt or a crossbody. Well, I hope you enjoy using your new bag. Whether you wear it as a fanny pack or a crossbody, you are sure to be hands-free for any activity. And if you have further questions, please leave a comment below and we will do our best to answer those questions. Be sure to check out our collection of mini patterns on our website. They're designed as easy-to-sew projects with multiple skill levels in mind. We encourage you to share photos of your completed projects using hashtag Sallie Tomato and hashtag Fields Fanny Pack on social media. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. That way you'll always know when a new tutorial is here. Thanks for watching and have a great making day.